Hey Rot Pickers, it's the new Pick of the Rots at Top 20. All-time worst people in history. Brought to you by Ranker website. And straight in at number 20, it's Ivan the Terrible. The first Tsar of that pest country still with us, Russia. Prone to outbreaks of mental illness, attacking his pregnant daughter-in-law for being immodestly dressed, causing her to miscarry, and then murdering his chosen heir. Also famous for his cruel treatment of the nobility and murdering rivals to the throne. And at 19, it's Keep It in the Family Caligula, not R. Caligula slept with his sisters and then made them work as prostitutes. Declared himself as a god, ate his sister's baby from the womb, and made a horse a member of the Senate. At least the horse won't be fiddling its expenses, right kids? At 18, it's Ted Bundy, a serial killer of at least 30 victims. Ted liked nothing more than a stiff drink, a stiff appendage, and a good stiff corpse for pleasure. Having his way with corpses until putrefaction set in. So chances are someone did split on him from beyond the grave. Personally, I'd rather have my day in court, alright? At 17, it's none other than Kim Il-sung, President of North Korea, and he ran the country for decades, spearheading the creation of an Orwellian regime. The self-proclaimed eternal president. Who lived to be 85 and ordered doctors to make him live until he was 120. Looks like no one bought him a dictionary, right kids? At 16, it's Jim Jones waving the flag for religion. Jimmy's mum believed she had given birth to the Messiah, something Jonesy didn't take too literally, as he was prone to stabbing cats to death and murdering people on airstrips. Persuasive fellow who got 909 of his congregation to commit suicide. Not a man to play poker with, right? At 15 is every white farmer's favourite, Robert McGarvey. Yes, Bob liked to steal farmers' lands, probably to bury the 20-odd thousand people he murdered. An ethnic cleanser, a man who had lost 3 elections and yet is still in power. What a man, what a cheat, what a liar. Democratic he ain't, not R. At 14 is Charles Manson and his crazy lamps, leader of the Manson family. Charlie believed killing a few celebs would lead to an apocalyptic war and he would be the leader. Why? Because the Beatles song Helter Skelter told him so. It's a pity he didn't listen to Yellow Submarine more often. Seems Eleanor Rigby had it easy. At 13, it's Argentina's favourite bed and breakfast man, Joseph Ming Lee. This kiddie killer amputated arms, coloured eyes, and injected typhus to the heart. Just some of the twisted experiments he carried out on children at Auschwitz. Must have been really useful when he spent the rest of his life farming. Oh, and looking over his shoulder. Getting to the point at 12 is Vlad the Impaler. Impalement was Vlad's preferred method of torture, and 20,000 impaled bodies outside his capital was enough to stop one invader, turning round and saying, "I'm off home." He roasted children, whom he then fed to their mothers, cut off breasts of women and forced their husbands to eat them. And if things couldn't get worse, after that, he had them all impaled. Lad, there's hobbies and hobbies. You should have taken up dominoes. Right, chums? At number 11, it's Joseph Goebbels, Reich Minister of Propaganda in Nazi Germany 1945. Hitler's most devoted follower, known for his virulent anti-Semitism, strongly supporting and developing their final solution. Easily identified amongst the Nazis because of his club foot, that and being pig ugly, right, rock pickers? It's into the top 10 now, pop pickers, and at number 10, it's Benito Mussolini. Mussolini was one of the key figures in the creation of fascism. Mussolini's invaded soldiers murdered many thousands of civilians, bombed the Red Cross, dropped poison gas, starved infants in concentration camps, and tried to annihilate cultures deemed inferior, rumoured to award himself medals for hiding under the table when artillery was only a few hundred miles away. At 9, it's Saddam Hussein. Hussein called for the extermination of every living thing, human or animal, in the Kurdish north. Some 182,000 people, men, women and children were slaughtered, many through the use of chemical weapons. He reduced the number of marsh Arabs by starvation. He was a monster, a butcher, a brutal tyrant, a genocidal racist. He was all of this. And rumour has it, he had weapons of mass destruction. A real rotter, hey rock pickers? In at number 8 is Heinrich Himmler, a chicken farmer turned genocidal maniac. He set up and controlled the Nazi concentration camps, Chief of German Police and Minister of the Interior, overseeing all internal and external police and security forces, including the Gestapo. At 7, it's Jong Il, responsible for the deaths of thousands of hundreds, perhaps millions of North Koreans, with the willingness to let his people starve when the sins of one member of the family condemned a whole generation to imprisonment, horrendous prisons and forced labour camps and public execution. No wonder he was only. Just outside the top 5 is Osama Bin Laden, famous for mass murder and teasing the West with his constant use of inferior VHS tape messages. Now there are not many people who insult extremist Muslims and get away with it, and I ain't about to start. Hope the fish are good company, Aussie. Now we're up to the top 5 rock pickers, where we find at number 5, Mao Zedong. It's now believed many of 70 million people may have died because of Mao's policies, making him responsible for more deaths than Hitler and Stalin combined. Austerity policies gone mad. Just think about it, Osborne. At number 4 is Idi Amin. Amin was not an ordinary political tyrant. He did more than murder those he considered his enemies. He subjected them to barbarism even after they were dead. It was common knowledge that many of the bodies dumped in hospital mortuaries were terribly mutilated, with livers, noses, lips, genitals or eyes missing. I mean, being cold towards your wife doesn't mean cutting off her head and sticking her in the fridge. Now for the pick of the pops, top 3, with number 3, Pol Pot. Pol Pot attempted his own super great giant leap forward in Cambodia, killing 2 million people. He began by declaring this is the year 0 and that society was about to be purified. The use of foreign languages was banned, all media outlets were shut down, money was forbidden, religion banned, education halted, healthcare eliminated, and parental authority revoked. He automatically killed people who wore glasses. I bet that eye surgery doesn't seem so expensive now, rock pickers? And after a long stay at number 1, it's a downfall for Adolf Hitler. What can you say about Addy that hasn't already been said? And he tried to back it all up with science, not to mention nicking Charlie Chaplin's image and not paying royalties. And at number 1, it's a surprise with Joseph Stalin. And here is the litany. 1 million imprisoned or exiled between 1927 and 29. 11 million peasants forced off their lands, 3 million peasants arrested or exiled, 7 million killed by artificial famine, 1 million exiled from Moscow and Leningrad, 1 million executed during the Great Reign of Terror, 6 million dispatched to forced labour camps, 12 million people forcibly relocated during World War II. And that was the top 20 of the world's naughtiest men, brought to you by the Rank website. So until next Sunday at 5. Alright.